You're listening to Mic'd Up with RPM, an RPM Living podcast.
Hey everybody, thanks for joining us on the RPM Pod, the podcast here for RPM. I'm Tony Sousa, the VP of Marketing Relations, and we're really excited to have you guys here today. We have a really cool show. I have some of the most inspirational, amazing leaders going to be joining us today, so we're excited to get right into it. They're going to talk a little bit about their story, how they got to where they are, and where they see the industry going as well as having some fun and asking some really fun questions. So with that, hi guys.
Hi, Tony.
Welcome to the podcast. We're excited to have you.
Thank you. We're excited to be here.
Well, so for those who don't know, which you may be surprised, maybe some that don't know you, if I could ask you to tell us who you are, obviously your name, and what you do here at RPM.
Absolutely. I'm Cynthia Miller, President of Operations. I run our operations team coast to coast.
Awesome.
I'm Stephanie Johnston. I'm our division president over the East. So I oversee everything high level, Midwest, Northeast, Mid-Atlantic, down through Florida and Georgia.
And Trisha Satterlund. I am the division president of the Mountain West, and I oversee all of the real estate really west of Texas.
So to those listening, obviously these are big titles, right? And you guys started, and we're going to talk a little bit about how you got started in the industry. But when you think about what you do for RPM, I think the audience would love to hear, I'd love to hear maybe how you define your job and how you could be most impactful in your job. Cynthia?
Oh, loading it up for me, Tony.
There's no wrong answer.
I would say, honestly, how I define success is by how successful the folks are underneath me. I think being a leader within the organization, effective communication is key. So I think if you're communicating effectively, listening effectively, then the team beneath you, if they're performing and they're successful and they're growing and developing in their career, that's really how I define success for my role specifically is how everybody is performing around me and that they're getting all the tools that they need to do their job successfully.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, you asked how we define our roles. Yeah. Honestly, we could probably sit here for 3 hours and answer that question.
Yes, accurate.
I don't think the tasks, right? Like, so I guess that question is, and Cynthia, I think you answered it very well, but I think in your own minds, what is it when you go home, that I accomplished what I wanted to today, or I'm making the impact that I want to.
Yeah. I mean, it's a leadership role. At the end of the day. That's what it is. All three of us. That's ultimately we are here to support the teams beneath us and make sure that they have the tools and the resources to be successful, that they feel appreciated and empowered to continue growing their careers here too. Every single day looks very, very different.
Yeah. Yes.
For sure. Lots of phone calls, lots of emails, lots of fires to put out always. But at the end of the day, it's about leadership.
Awesome.
And I would just add, I really, believe in this and I take this with me wherever I go and I instill this in my people. I'm only as successful as my people, truly. I want to make sure that, as a leader, we are giving them the resources and the support and the empowerment to set them up for success. And really, seeing their success really does contribute to a lot of our success that we've had today.
Yeah.
So Steph, you mentioned something that I think would be really insightful for those listening is every day is different.
Yes,
everybody. So those who are listening that are in property management, maybe outside property management, those who are inside the industry, obviously, I think get that to some extent. But I think an interesting perspective is kind of behind the veil, behind your daily operations or your daily jobs. What is sort of a day to day or a week to week, would you say, for you, without giving away too much information?
Again, how much time do you have?
3 hours.
We could be here all day.
I mean, I think, all three of us travel pretty consistently. We oversee, obviously, Cynthia has the entire country, but Trisha and I oversee very large regions. So we're on the road quite often, going to see our team, spend time with them in person. Honestly, whether we are on the road, on an airplane, behind our desk, it is a lot of emails. It's a lot of delegating. It's a lot of, helping our team kind of find the answers if they need help, or making sure that we're making the right connections so that they have the resources they need. It's a lot of client communication. And it really, every day truly is different because, one person's not going to need help every single day, or this client needs me this week, or, we just kind of take the punches as they're thrown, to be honest.
Every day is different, Tony. I mean, every hour is different,
Yes.
Truly. And we travel a lot. We want to be in front of our team, supporting our teams, being there, being visible, understanding where the needs are, not just for the people specifically, but how we can grow as an organization and best support our teams and then subsequently our clients. So every day is different.
Yeah, I mean, I think, Trisha just said it perfectly. Like, we just really want to be supportive of all of our teams and the clients too. And everybody needs something all the time. And it is very different. And there are a lot of fire drills and there's a lot of incident reports with very unique situations. So it's just important that we're available. I mean, we probably talk more than everybody would like for us to, but I mean, it's just constant communication all day, every day, just problem solving, honestly.
Yes.
So I have a two-part question. You all, I think I understand your story a little bit. You guys all started at a different level within property management, maybe at different levels.
I think we all started at the same level.
Yes.
We are started as leasing
Right?
agents.
So which I guess, but I didn't want to make some assumptions, but I did know that you started on site, which is awesome. And I think your teams obviously recognize that support and understanding kind of almost every role and now being in the role that you're in. So two questions. Tell us a little bit about how you got started, right? Often in this industry, most of us kind of follow into it, which I assume maybe is some of your story, but tell us a little bit about that story. And then also tell us a little bit about sort of your leasing consultant self, and now in the roles that you are in, is it what you thought it would be? Because I think there's a lot of people at the LC level, AM level, assistant manager, that is, property manager. I think they assume what a lot of things are when they're really not. Obviously, you guys have that experience now being in some really impactful roles. I think that would be helpful for people to understand sometimes kind of, again, a little insight into what you thought it was or where it was and where you are now. So maybe your story.
Yeah, I would love to. So I was in college and I was going to college to be a dental hygienist. And
you have beautiful teeth.
that was the goal. I paid a lot of money with braces. Which, looking back, there's no way that I could have been a dental hygienist, so good thing it didn't work out for me. But while I was in college, I kind of fell into a marketing role and went into market to this mom and pop community in Kansas City, which is where I grew up. And they were like, "Do you want to work here?" And I was like, sure.
Okay.
So I started as a leasing consultant. I had no idea what I was doing, but it was fun. And I had fun doing it. I worked with a really amazing group of people, of women, and I still stay in touch with them today. And then I decided to move to Arizona and started working for Alliance at that time as a leasing consultant and just moved up from there. I would say just I worked my tail off. Like, there were a lot of really long days. There still are. So just, I mean, I was very curious. I, just was relentless. I knew that I wanted more. And I just continued to kind of power through and learn as much as I could. I had many different supervisors, a lot of different, personalities, which I learned and took from and didn't take from some. But there's, there's a lot of different personalities, but you can learn from every situation that you're in, good or bad.
I'm going to jump over to you guys in just a minute, but you said something, the R word that we know well at RPM, relentless, right? And you mentioned you were relentless, I think, in your career pursuits early on. Where did you learn that relentlessness from? I feel like you were an athlete. Maybe does it come from the family? Where does this relentless sort of ambition come from?
That's a great question. I was heavy into sports growing up. My kids are still now. All of our kids are now. So it's just a passion. Like, when you find something that you love, like, you just want to be the best at it. So I think I got that from my sister. She was also an athlete and then just kind of carried it through. And I feel like I surround myself just kind of organically with leaders that kind of have that same mentality. So just to always want to focus on the best and really just try to get to that next level.
Are you uber competitive, outside of work?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay,
all of us are. Very much so.
Yes.
It's a key trait that I'm sensing. Thanks, Cynthia. Stephanie, what about you?
Yeah, so I mean, similar story. I started in the industry when I was in college, and fell into it, as you noted, really because I needed a job. And someone was like, you can get free rent if you go and work at this apartment. And I was like, well, that sounds like my kind of gig. So it was, my start was a little bit different. I started in student housing, which ultimately is why I got free rent, because that's just the way that's structured, or was many years ago. But I started as a part-time community assistant at a student housing property in Denton, Texas. And again, just kind of worked. I had no intention of staying in this business. I was like, this is a job. This is great. Going to get me through college, and then I'm good to go. And
what were you going to do?
I wanted to be a medical examiner, if you can believe that.
Wow.
So went to school for biochemistry, and now I work in apartments.
Is there somebody mad about that education that you didn't pursue?
No, I paid for my education,
Oh, okay.
so
We know who to call.
Upset.
Well, that's good.
A little upset with myself, but here we are. It all worked out for the best
It
because
did.
we're here
It did,
now.
yes.
But so I graduated college and had every expectation of continuing on with my education so that I could do what I originally went for. But I got my first manager job right out of college at one of the properties that I was working at, and I was like, well, maybe I'll stick with this for a little bit longer. And that's when I fell in love with it. I had a supervisor that was just absolutely incredible. I speak to him often still. He was an incredible mentor to me, taught me how to be a good leader, and taught me how to work my butt off to get what I wanted. I've always been competitive too, very similar. I grew up, my dad was in the military, so that just kind of came innately. But I've always just kind of internally been a competitive person too. And once I realized that this was the industry I was going to stick with, I was like, well, we're going all the way to the top.
Let's go. If we're
One
in,
way
we're
or
in.
another, let's get there.
That's awesome. Trisha?
Yeah.
So very similar stories to these ladies as well too. Kind of just fell in the industry. I too graduated college, went for dental hygiene. Very similar story as Cynthia, and actually made it through to dental hygiene school. And I was doing my internship, and I assisted in my brother's tooth extraction, which I thought was
You assisted?
I assisted. And
What
I
role?
saw the
Hold on.
blood.
Oh no,
Passed
rewind.
out.
What role did you play in this
Well,
surgical
so
process?
I basically just as the assistant, gave the dentist the tools, and I kind of stood there and observed. And at that point, it was my first. I've never seen anybody get a tooth pulled. Obviously, I was in college, and I'm sitting there. Obviously worked with the dental hygienist, and she did the teeth cleaning. All the things. And the dentist is like, okay, well, I'm going to do his far back molar extraction. I would love for you to sit, and kind of help me. And so I sat there. The moment I saw the blood, I literally, ears ringing, head spinning, pass out. And from then I was like, okay, well, that's definitely not my future. So switched gears to interior design. Graduated college, came to Phoenix, and my mom was like, well, you need a job. Like, this has gone on far too long. You need to get a job. And so I was looking for an apartment, and I thought that the girls at the front desk were just so super cute, and they were having fun. And I was like, okay, well, I can do this while I get a real
I wanna
job,
have
a
a
big girl
fun
job, right?
job.
And just kind of fell into it and absolutely loved it. Just grew this passion for people and finding people a home. And so I also have my real estate license as well, too. Just not knowing, back then how far this would take me. And I love, finding at that point, I loved, really working with the people to find them their perfect home. And so, and then you just, as you get more responsibilities and continue to grow, the passion, the fire was fueled, the passion was there. And it was like, okay, how do I actually become part of the fabric of a company to make greater decisions, right? So it's really not just the experience of the resident, right, or the move-in experience. It's really the associate experience.
Right.
It's the partnership with the client experience. And so that's really kind of what fueled my fire, and here I am today. But yeah, just similar to these ladies, out of college, fell into it, did not think that this was something that I was going to do long term. But when I put my mind to it and I'm invested in something, I put all of my passion, my heart, my soul into something, and I couldn't imagine doing anything different now. Like, this is just who I am inherently as a person.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's an awesome story.
Tony, you asked what our leasing consultant selves would think of us, or what.
You didn't answer it.
I'm going to answer it now.
Yeah.
It's so funny because, like, I guess I hadn't really thought about it until you posed the question, but when I was a leasing consultant, I had no idea what anything at this level looked like. Nothing.
Same.
Everything was so far away. It was so untouchable. I had no idea who half the leaders were at my company, at every company that I worked. Like, I just didn't know anything. I had no visibility to it at all. So even when I was a leasing consultant, like this role that I'm in right now was not the dream for me. I was like, I just want to be a manager so I can run this place. Like, that was it. And looking back, I wish that I had had more visibility into what a growth path looked like or other opportunities looked like, even outside of, we have this conversation a lot that operationally, because obviously we're all operators, operationally, a lot of people kind of have that one vertical trajectory in their mind of like, I'm going to be a leasing and then an assistant and then a manager and then a regional manager and like that's it. There's so many other options in this industry. There's so many other options at RPM, like at any property management company, or even, if somebody wanted to touch the vendor side or something, like there's just so much out there. And I can almost assure you that none of us had any visibility into that. It was just like, I lease apartments and this is my job.
It was just the next, the goal was the next position above you, at that point in time.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
And then I think everybody, when you're in the leasing consultant role, you just think, and if everybody at corporate just like has it so easy. Like they're just 9 to 5.
Made in the shade.
So it's very different, right? Like, I mean, the perception kind of when you're in that role.
So I think you guys make a great point, and I think a lot of people listening, frankly, will be RPM associates, will also be outside of RPM, right, in the industry. And it's really the reason why I asked the question, because there's going to be a lot of leasing consultants and assistant managers, maybe within RPM, maybe outside of RPM. So the question that I have for you is, how do you, if you want some more visibility to this level, how do you get that? How do you achieve that? And obviously you can't sit in some of the meetings that you guys are in, of course, right? That's just not their role at that time. But how do you get a peek into the window to, because I think a lot of people listening are saying, well, I think I want this type of career, but I really don't know because I don't have visibility to it. And sometimes you all know, and I know, we sort of stumble into our next roles, and that's okay too, and obviously it works out very well. But for somebody that wants a little more visibility into it, or who's very ambitious, competitive like you guys, like what are some words of wisdom or advice that you would give them?
I would say intellectual curiosity. Just keep that intellectual curiosity. I think that's really, I attribute a lot of my success today to always being curious and asking questions, asking the why behind things. I've had some really great mentors as I've kind of grown up, in the industry at every level, but really keeping that curiosity and asking questions. I mean, I remember being a community manager and asking asset managers, the why behind, different investment strategies. And I would say, if you truly think that this is the industry for you and you want to continue to grow and you want, a position like these, keep asking questions. Keep that intellectual curiosity going.
What do you think causes people to stop or not ask all those questions? Are they afraid of asking dumb questions, or what do you think?
No question is a dumb question. Yes. Like, I mean, I know that sounds so cliche, but like it really isn't. If you don't know, ask. Yes. Like, we have some of our clients that ask questions that we're like, you should know that. But like, I mean, but they ask, because they don't know. And like, that's fine. Ask the question. If you don't know, ask it. Like there's no way that you're going to get the answer to it if you don't ask. So,
I think there is a level of fear, or that they don't feel like they can ask whoever it is that they're posing the question to, like, oh, I'm gonna find somebody else or like closer to my level to ask this question to. Just to kind of, feed off of what Trisha said, I think that one of the things that people, specific in any on-site position, really, maintenance, office, anything, can do is ask questions to people at our level when they see them. And now, obviously the three of us aren't going around and visiting every single community that we oversee on a daily basis. It'd be physically impossible for us to do that.
We would love to be doing that.
But I mean, we do go on site and we go to these regional offices and we see on-site associates periodically, throughout each month. And, I just encourage those people, if you are in a room with us or someone, above your direct supervisor and you have questions, ask them.
Absolutely.
by all means. And, one thing that the three of us do is we try to make ourselves as visible as we can to every level of our company for that exact reason, so that it doesn't feel as out of reach and completely unattainable. Because when we sat there, it was massively out of reach. Like, we had no idea what it even looked like. And we don't want our people to feel that way.
Oh, that's a great answer. I just want to pivot a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about RPM. Obviously, it's the company we're all speaking about and work for. What caused you to join RPM? There was a lot going on at the time for some of you, but talk to us a little bit about what was the magnetic pull to RPM at the time, and I think that story is really interesting. And frankly, also double question: what makes RPM different? Which I assume is probably what largely drew you to RPM initially.
Sure. I'll start. I think that we probably all have very similar stories here. But I mean, what drew me to RPM initially was Jason. Just sitting down.
Jason Berkowitz, CEO.
Yes, Jason. He reached out to me, and he invited me to come meet with him, and we sat in a room, and it was just so organic and natural. And I mean, he has a very different perspective of the business, but I think that's one of the things that makes RPM great. So Jason honestly was what attracted me, and then the more that I met with some of the other leaders at the organization at the time and the other people, of course, it was a very attractive company, honestly. I mean, the culture was there, the people were fantastic, but I mean, Jason is what initially drew me to RPM.
And
Jason is what brought me here too.
Same.
Yeah.
Our CEO is big fans of Jason right here.
Well, and just going back to what we were just talking about, like how we try to make ourselves available, Jason is very available for our on-site teams, for our support departments. Like, he's always available.
Yeah.
I mean, we have our town halls where we have open Q&A. No other CEO of an organization does anything like that. Just open forum, raw, organic, ask me anything. He's extremely genuine. Like, I think that really, like, when it starts at the top, like it
100%.
bleeds all the way down.
Yeah.
I think that mine is a little different than theirs. Obviously, our background is very similar and where we came from, but the timing is a little bit different. And I think that's why mine is a little bit unique. What drew me, obviously, is the initial conversations with Jason. Obviously, he's a great guy, brilliant. But I came a little bit later. So they had already been with RPM for a couple of years. So what really drew me to RPM is, the culture, their people, the entrepreneurial spirit that Jason promotes. He allows us to really kind of own a piece of the business. And you don't get that with large PMCs. Like, you don't get that opportunity to create your own business and really run it and have the autonomy to do so. And so that was really attractive for me, to be able to come in and, again, be part of a fabric of a company, to make decisions, to that better our lives, our associates' lives, our partners' lives, and grow, and grow a very strategic way and be part of that. So that's what really attracted me to RPM.
So how do you take? Obviously, Jason's made a big impact on everyone here today. Obviously, he's made an incredible impact not only at RPM but within the industry as well. And he's a tremendous person. We all know that. How do you then take that impression that he's made upon you and the culture that you felt, and obviously are continuing to create as well? How do you not only embody that, but then how do you trickle that down, right, to your team, so that they can emulate ultimately what we collectively see, from Jason's vision, what the culture is for RPM? I
mean, I think ultimately that type of leader attracts other leaders that are like that. Jason is, he's very open, he's very welcoming, he is very honest. He is, he wants to continually communicate, and that, I mean, the three of us, I think, are intrinsically just like that already. But having a leader who kind of promotes that just further fuels who we are in our positions already. And I think Cynthia touched on it earlier, but it's about constant communication, over communication, and making sure that our people feel it. It's one thing to say, like, our CEO is great and we have a really solid culture, and then, like, nobody really does anything with it. We do something with it daily. And it's not just the three of us, it's literally every single person who works at our company, from our support departments to our operational leaders to our C-suite, and everything in between. It is constant communication at every level about absolutely everything.
That's awesome. There's a lot that we do culture-wise. Can you share with us a little bit about some of the things that your teams, your regions do to help kind of support that culture, in addition to, the standard day-to-day support and communication based on workloads and other things that are happening? But I know there's a lot that I think RPM does differently than other companies. A lot of sort of, I think, intentional outings and things that the teams do that obviously I think a lot of people see online and social. I'll talk a little bit about kind of the method to that madness.
Sure. Go ahead.
Okay. I would say, getting the teams together and bringing everyone together, on a pretty regular basis is really important, right? They want to feel like they're part of the organization, right? I think if you don't bring people together and really, just show the vision and be part of that, you lose people, right? Because they don't feel like they're part of something greater than just their property. So we actually try on a quarterly basis to get everyone together. Community managers will even do smaller groups together with like leasing consultants. But it's really important for us, and our culture to continue to remain intact as we continue to grow as an organization, to bring everyone together and that they can have a voice, right? And I think, I know you guys mentioned the town halls. Those are so incredible that we invite everyone to have a voice on those town hall calls. I mean, Tony, you've seen
they're in the chat.
They're in the chat.
They
absolutely are in the chat. And I mean, full vulnerability and transparency. I mean, Jason answers some really tough questions, and I think that we see that and appreciate that. But I will tell you, the on-site teams appreciate that as well too. I mean, to get a suggestion to go to weekly pay for on-site associates and have Jason react and act so quickly and like implement that, because it is, game changing for them and their families. No other organization would have taken that true to heart and said, okay, let's do this. Let's try this. How can we better the lives of our people? And so I think just ensuring that, we're bringing people together on a regular basis, they feel part of RPM, and that their voices are heard is very important.
I think that's the key, is that their voices are heard. And not only, we've touched on the town halls several times, which is obviously, it's a big deal for our associates to be able to have that platform.
So real quick, just for those listening, tell them, what is an RPM town hall?
It is a call that every single person within our organization is invited to.
Every associate.
Everyone who works here that is invited to. We give brief updates, kind of these are the wins, this is the progress that we've made as an organization. We highlight promotions and things like that. And it's really more of an informative thing.
And Jason's there live on the call.
Jason is there live on the call. We are there live on the calls. Several other members of our C-suite are there live on the calls. And at the end, it is literally an open forum for any person on the call to ask whatever question they want, give whatever feedback they want. And some are easy questions to answer and some are not. But Jason and the rest of us who are kind of sitting on the panel of these questions, if you will, answer as many as we possibly can within the time frame that we have. And we will even go so far as to write answers to the rest of them that we aren't able to cover on the town halls. It's very meaningful for our associates, again, just to kind of feel like they have the floor. Beyond the town hall calls, we ask for feedback from our associates constantly, and we do it formally and informally. So we do employee engagement surveys consistently, and it's
ideas at RPM email.
Yes,
Jason himself reads every single one of those emails that come in,
God
as do we. So
yeah, it is a constant give us feedback. We want to know how you feel, what we could do better, what we could do differently. And we actually, it's about the action that's taken after that. It's not just like, oh yeah, tell us how you feel and super. Yeah. We move forward with it, and we make as much change as we can realistically make within our organization to make sure that we are hitting every single one of these things that are being brought to us, and that at the very least we are investigating it to figure out the right solution.
Yeah, and that's honestly what makes us very different from any other organization. I mean, I think people talk about, they tout, they're here for their associates, things like that, but we really truly are. Like, we put our associates first. We feel like with our associates first, they're going to take care of if we take care of our teams, they're going to take care of the clients, and they're going to take care of, the residents.
Yeah, very well said. So you guys have been sort of deemed, three of the most inspirational, influential women, at RPM within the industry as well. What does it mean to you? And for those listening, and I know you guys pretty well, you guys are all very, very humble leaders about that. And so I know this kind of puts you on a spot to be able to speak about that. But I think it's important for people. To hear from you. What does it mean to be influential? What does it mean to inspire somebody else? So I'd love to get your take on that. I know it's sort of very self-reflective, and we didn't practice this, but I think.
Did you guys practice other things?
I should have practiced.
But what does it mean to inspire somebody? What does it mean
it's a big responsibility?
And it's an honor.
And
it's a very big honor.
Yeah.
And it is, I mean, it's very, very humbling.
It is.
Yes. I know for a fact, I know that I have, and I know that these two women have also, we get comments constantly of like, it's inspirational to see, where you are, or that you're so young in this position, or that you're a mother and holding this position, or what you've moved up so quickly, all of the positive things. And we obviously have lived this growth up the ladder, if you will, and some days it's felt better than others. But it's very, very humbling. Yes. And to see the people that you're touching without even intentionally doing it, like it's such a meaningful thing. Yep. Like, it touches my heart every single time I get a comment from someone that I'm like, I didn't even know that you knew who I was. It's very powerful. Yeah. And it is a massive responsibility.
It is a massive responsibility. It really is. And because I am a firm, and I know these two women are as well, but, leading by example, right? Just, you're always in front of the camera, right? When you're talking to clients, to your people, I mean, you're always in front of a camera, if you will, and so it is a responsibility, as we are today. But it is an honor. It really is an honor. And I think, again, being inspirational for others, I want people, just like we started as leasing agents, and I know we all have just said it, never did we think that we would be in the positions that we are 20 years ago. I mean, if I could go back to my 20-year-old self and just say, stay the course, have the grit, it's going to come, I never would have thought, that I would be sitting in the position that I am today. But I want our teams to know that, again, with dedication, with commitment, with the grit, with being intellectual, having that intellectual curiosity, you can be here. You can be influential. You can sit in one of these seats and lead people. And so I think it is very humbling, for sure. But, I think we should be proud of the accomplishments that we've made and the people that we've led. Absolutely. And, and I'm a huge proponent of internal promotions and growing my team. I think that's one of the things that I'm most proud of is, kind of grooming the next wave of leaders coming in as well, too.
So these are awesome answers. And it really kind of leads me to the next one is, what does it take to be a successful professional at your level? But also, something I also want to say is you guys are all mothers, right? And there's a big discussion out there in the interwebs and, out there on social, right, is work-life balance, right? And there's a massive amount of sacrifice that comes with that. Talk to those parents, could be dads or moms, right, who are raising families, raising kids. What does it take to be a successful professional and a functioning mom?
Functioning. Yeah, functioning. Yes.
Right. So take, there's a lot of people listening, right? There's parents, moms, single moms, single dads, all sorts of stuff. So talk to us.
I would say boundaries. Set your boundaries.
Absolutely.
And just know that you're always doing a really great job. Like, even when you feel like you're not.
Yes.
There's a lot of times that I feel like I'm not, but like, you just have to constantly remind yourself of what you're doing this for, which is our families ultimately. And you have to set boundaries. You have to find that balance. You have to force it. Yeah. Some days it's easier to force the boundaries than others. But you just have to kind of set that expectation and then live it. And our kids force us to live it. Yes. And we've missed some things that we don't want to miss. But you just have to kind of find that balance.
And work for a company that allows you that balance. Yes. Honestly, like, that's the biggest thing. And that's one thing, That's one thing that truly sold me when I came here. You know, Jason's brilliant, and all of the things that he's done with his company are amazing. But like the way that he cares about his people is the way that we care about our people,
Right.
and it trickles all the way down.
Yeah.
And there is never a time when I would ever tell one of my associates, "Work comes first. Sorry, I don't care about your kid's soccer game, or I don't care that you have a family member in the hospital." Never.
No.
Not
No.
one single person would ever hear
No.
that from anyone here. Find a company that allows you to have the balance that you need, specifically with your kids, your partner, because it's hard. It is hard every day.
Yeah.
And Cynthia said it, but tell yourself you're doing okay every day. Whether you feel like you are or not.
Well, I think it goes to, I think a lot of people say, well, that's hard, right? And our children
It
say
is
that
hard.
stuff, right? Like,
Yeah.
well, that's hard, so I'm not going to do it. And I think as adults and professionals that have become very successful, just because it's hard doesn't mean it's not worth doing, right?
Right,
And
of
I think
course.
that probably speaks to a lot of, self-talk, right? Of like,
Yeah.
I know it's hard, but we got this and we're doing well as well. So, it's interesting, we mentioned Jason again here with this work-life balance, and in a recent discussion that I had with a colleague of mine and others, but Jason has been adamant that work associates are not family.
Yes.
And family is family,
Yeah.
and our work team, our work associates,
They're our team.
They're our team, and
Yeah.
you go home to your family. And I think that's a little different than you hear either in multifamily or other industries, right? We're our work family, and to some extent, I think we understand the kind of this
Right.
this dynamic we're trying to
Colloquial
refer
term,
to,
yeah.
right? My
Sure.
work wife, right, or like work husband, whatever the case is. So Trisha, you hadn't had a chance to answer that last question. What does that mean to you that you have, a CEO saying, "Listen, we're close, we support you in every which way, but we're not your family. We want you to enjoy your family."
When Jason first said it, it really resonated with me because he's right? I mean, you can have a professional team, right? Athletes have professional teams, and they're probably with their athletes, right? Their teams more than they are with their families that time because they travel. I'm probably with these ladies more than I am with my family sometimes, but they're my team, right? And I think you can be just as invested in your team as you are with your family, right? But it's a different
There's an
investment.
intimacy, right?
You
Yeah.
love them, you
Right.
care for them, right? I mean, I love you, ladies. Don't get me wrong, but
love you too.
it's different, and I appreciate him saying it in the way that he said it because, like I said, I feel like we all, for so many years, have said, "This is my family, my work family," right? And that's great. We are like a family sometimes, but I do think that there has to be some sort of bifurcation from actual work and family because it can bleed sometimes, and it's really up to the person. And I learned this, throughout the years as I've kind of grown in my career, that you have to create your own work-life balance, right? And that is through setting boundaries, right? I mean, my son plays sports as well, and so but I will never miss a game, and I will make my travel plans around games. I know both of these women have children in sports as well too, and it's prioritizing their education, their sports, our family over our team sometimes. And so I like that he kind of separates it in that respect, and it's not that there is any less value in the team than there is in the family necessarily, but it's just different, right? We invest our time differently.
So speaking about Stephanie.
I was just going to say, I mean, I think one of the hardest things about this industry is that it never stops.
Yeah.
This is not a 9-to-5 job at any level. Whether you are you are on site, just got started, all the way up to where we are now, it is not 9 to 5. It is a 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week
It
job.
never stops.
It
The
never
list
stops.
keeps going.
The
Yeah.
emails never stop. The phone calls never stop. And if you do not set those boundaries for yourself, you are allowing other people to set them for you, and you are going to get yourself into a hole that is very, very difficult to pull out of. And that's when it starts bleeding over into your family and starts actually causing problems.
Sure.
And I think it's massively important to, again, Cynthia said it, but remember why we're doing this. We're not working just for the sake of working. We're working to support our families and do the things with our families that we want to do in life. And we just need to make sure that that's always kind of at the forefront.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
it's hard. I mean, it's hard to set those boundaries,
Yes.
and it takes some time and some just commitment to set the boundaries, but you just have to do it. I mean, one thing that I think we all do really well is we don't email after hours. Like, that's very important. I feel like, when you get an email from your boss, like you feel like you have got to respond immediately, So we try to like set that example, and it bleeds all the way down to our on-site teams. Of course, there's emergencies and things that might need to get handled. But like Stephanie said, I mean, we could work 24/7 and still have a to-do list that's
endless,
pages long.
Yeah. So kind of staying in this lane a little bit, because I do think that there's a lot of interest. How do you spend your time off? Like, how do you enjoy yourself? How do you decompress? How do you, manage, the challenges of work and enjoy your time off? I think people would be curious to know.
I'm at the ball fields most of the time of my time off nowadays. So baseball, football, those are wrapping, and now we're rolling straight into basketball. So, nice. I mean, my time off, honestly, is with my kids and my husband and my 2 naughty puppies. So.
Yeah, I mean, same. My son plays club soccer, so for anyone else's children who play club sports, that it's all we do. It's constant. It is year-round. It never stops. It goes from indoor to outdoor to futsal to things that I'd never even heard of before, including futsal.
Yeah. I was going to say, that's a new one.
It's a small weighted ball, and they basically play it on a basketball court, but it's terrible. I hate it. And they're just like, what? It's cold outside. What else could we do?
Yes.
Anyways, so my son is 10, and somehow sports have already completely consumed my entire life. I spend a lot of time in the gym, like for my own sanity. That's what I do for myself. But outside of that, it is all of my time when I'm home is spent with my son, and the vast majority of that is spent on a soccer field.
Same.
Sports everywhere.
So I'm seeing a theme, right? We have competitive ladies here that have competitive families
children.
And competitive children, and that's where we spend outside our competitive work life.
They get it from their moms.
We find more
guys,
competition.
we should really relax or something.
I was hoping like maybe they were hoping like spa days.
Yeah, I was just going to say, we
I'll relax
right here. Yes. We need a spa day.
Yes.
Some
No,
realization on
because we tried
today's
a spa
show.
day, and when we went, we were all
I know,
emailing
we
and on
were
the phone
working.
the whole time.
That's true. That's true. We didn't set good boundaries.
No, we did not.
We did try to go to the spa.
Yeah.
Maybe there'll be some changes after the show, right?
Yes.
Well, how do you? So again, kind of in a fun way, you're driving to work. What's that song that's playing on in your car to get you going for the day?
Ooh.
I've
been listening to a lot of Morgan Wallen lately.
Morgan Wallen,
It's kind of on repeat in my car.
Or genre of music.
I'm the oddball here, and most people when they hear this are just absolutely floored that this is who I am as a person. But I really like EDM music. Like that is what I listen to 95% of the time.
So help us understand. Is it like a brain trance? Like it just takes you out of reality, or
honestly, I
just
need
to give it a try.
Stress me out, Stephanie.
I'm a very energetic, I'm a high energy, I'm a very positive person, and it's a very energetic type of music. Almost everything else to me is and EDM, it brings me
Although,
up.
if I recall your favorite song today that we played on the way
it's
to the
so
other shoot.
sad. No, okay, listen. Somebody asked me what my favorite country song was, and I don't really listen to country. And for what it's worth, most country music is not super woo!
It's not EDM. That's for sure.
It's pretty middle of the road. But I listen to EDM. It pumps me up. I live on caffeine and EDM music. This is who I am as a person. This is how I got here, guys.
That's how I say on top of my email box.
Yes.
All the Celsius.
Yes.
All the Celsius.
All the Celsius.
I don't think anyone here is surprised, but
No. Yeah.
appreciate you sharing that. Trish, how about you?
Same. Probably Morgan Wallen is on repeat right now in my car. But you know what I've newfound love is audiobooks. Interestingly enough. Yes. I'll listen to, I know. I literally am like, I finished that book. I finished that book.
What was can you share with us the last book that you read?
Verity is one, and that's probably the one
amazing.
that just,
Every single person listening to this should read
Verity.
that book. It's unbelievable.
Yes, it is incredible, but a lot of, I was listening to podcasts, but kind of just switched
We got
to
a
the
new one to listen
audiobooks.
to now.
I know, now we have a new one.
Don't play this back. You're not. Nobody likes how they sound or
I feel
anything
like
like
it's
that.
just like a way to turn it off. You know what I'm saying? To listen to something else, get work completely off my mind. So when I'm driving, because even if I'm listening to music, I'll just start thinking, okay, I need to get this done, I need to get that that ton. But like if I'm listening to a book, I actually have to listen to the words of the book to understand what's going on.
That's true.
There's many times I've had to rewind because I've missed a chapter.
That's me reading a book. I'm like, I don't even know what just happened that last chapter.
That's probably been the last like couple of months. So if you get in my car, there will be an audiobook going for sure. I'm listening to one now, but I can't remember the name of it. But a lot of it is like mystery, like murder, mystery,
so it's fiction
love.
stuff.
Yes,
Kind of takes you out of the reality of whatever may be going on.
Yes, exactly.
I love a good murder.
Yes,
podcast.
me too. Yes. All murder things.
Listen, we can turn this to murder, guys.
Yes. Any suspicious crimes or murder investigations you guys would like to speak about?
Getting real dark right now.
So we're gonna have some fun. So you guys may know we put it out there online to LinkedIn, some questions that some folks in multifamily, some within RPM chimed in as well. One of the questions that was asked is Layla Freeman. She asks, can you tell us about something in your life that you held on to and you use as motivation to keep pushing forward? Take a moment to think about that.
Interesting.
And how has it been able to help you excel in your career? So something that maybe has happened in your life, and feel free to, go deep or not on this, but that has helped really kind of bottle that energy and passion.
I mean, I touched on this. I'll start. I touched on this earlier. There's no event that I can point to, but there is a person that I can point to and say, like, you inspired me. You are the person that I look back on. My mentor, I'll just call him out right here. His name is Brian Curley. He was my very first manager when I was an assistant. I was an assistant manager, and very similar to what I've experienced with Cynthia. He got promoted. I got promoted. Like, I just kind of like moved up the ranks with him initially, and he was just absolutely the most incredible mentor when I needed a mentor. When I was first starting in the industry, he is exactly what I needed. And he taught, like, there's so many times that I'm doing something or I'm trying to make a decision, and I think back to, like, what would he do in this situation? And it's very powerful for me because he is very important to me and my career growth and kind of how I came to be where I am now. So there's no like specific event that I can point to say like that really like fueled me to do this.
But you also came from a military family as well, right?
Yes, I did.
That sounded heavy. The big sigh, but I mean,
you move a lot when you're in the military.
Sure.
But there was nothing that like kicked me to say like to
Drive
I've just always been a very driven person. But my very first mentor like drives me still to this day because of the lessons that I learned from him.
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah,
Trisha?
I don't know if there's any specific event kind of going back through the years, but I think it, again, probably very similar to Stephanie. I've worked with a lot of great mentors in my career, and I think they were just such an inspiration to me early on that I was just striving to, gain more knowledge from them to continue to grow, because I really wanted to be on that same kind of path and trajectory that they were on, because I really did respect them. But nothing specific that comes to mind. I mean, obviously very young in the industry, starting, in my early 20s. So really kind of out of college into the industry. So nothing really that was an event that triggered anything. It really was just, I saw surrounded myself with a lot of great people early on that were very, very inspirational, had great drive, great passion for the business. And I think that's what kind of kept me going, to see their success continue to grow. And it was like, okay, if I can do this. Like, this is the path for me, but not an event necessarily.
Sure. You're
I can think
athlete.
of, I'm an athlete, but I don't know about anymore. That's questionable. But I can think of an event, actually. I was an assistant manager in Arizona, or very early in my career. I was very young. I wasn't even probably 20 at that point. And there was a new VP that came into the industry. I'd already been there. I kind of felt like I was proving myself, at least in my mind. I thought that I was, right? And I thought I was ready for the next step. My direct supervisor had been out for months on end, and I was kind of like holding down the fort. We were performing.
Doing multiple jobs, right?
Doing all the things, right? And, this new boss comes in who doesn't know me. And he, I thought I was like ready for it. I was going to get the job, and like he did not give me the job. And honestly, like it made me kind of self-reflect. But it also, like, I was not a fan at the time. But it made me push that much harder to really try to prove myself. To myself, yeah, right. and to him, honestly. And now looking back, he is one of the best mentors that I've had. I've had the opportunity to work with several really, really incredible people over the years, and had many, many really great mentors. And he is one of my mentors to this day. I always tease him, though. I'm like, no, you came in and
denied the promotion.
Yes. But I'm thankful for that. Cool. I really am. I mean, it put some things into perspective for me at a young age, and just made me work that much harder. Well,
who knows? Maybe it propelled you to where you are today. So.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. Thanks for sharing that. So another question that came up on LinkedIn, or a few questions came up, and we're gonna, after this question, we're gonna have a little fun afterwards. But this one is market related. 2024 future outlook. Taking a look at the marketplace. What's and it doesn't have to be an additional 3 hours.
You're stressing us out, Tony.
But
this is what we talk about.
This is what we talk about all the time.
I can tell you've all been having fun until we got to this question. But I do think that there's some that do want to get your perspective about what the market outlook looks like, what the forecast looks like.
Yeah.
Obviously, you work with a lot of your team to kind of take a look forward. What do you see in the coming 12 to 24 months? Feel free to be as honest as you need to be.
I mean, honestly, what I see, projection in my crystal ball is probably for the next, 12 to 15 months, we're going to be in this kind of downturn that we're in right now. I wish it were different, but I think kind of mid 2025, we're going to start going back up from here. It's the name of the game right now is all expense management, but it's not the expense management that we've talked about our entire careers. It's a different level of expense management and cash projections and cash management. And we are looking at the bank account balances every day, trying to decide, what can we pay for some of our clients? What shouldn't they be paying? It's a different time. But it's also like we need to train our people how to do this expense management, because it's outside of the box of anything that we've ever dealt with, unless you were in 2008, 2009, and in some of those markets that really got hit, Phoenix, and Vegas. Several others. Texas really didn't at that point in time, but I mean, there were several of us that have operated in those times. But the truth of the matter is, a lot of our associates that are operating the properties today didn't operate then. So it's a different time that we're working in right now.
I totally agree. It's a very unique atmosphere that we all live in right now. And to Cynthia's point, I mean, it's in my opinion, it's going to be at least a year before the market shifts back to what we were used to, even prior to COVID, because COVID happened and everything honestly was like kind of okay in the multifamily industry.
It was amazing.
It sucked at the beginning. It sucked for a minute while we all figured out how to navigate our lives again. And then the multifamily industry just absolutely skyrocketed. And then as soon as the market turned, like everything just kind of tanked, or rather just kind of started going in the other direction. Very, very different than what we were used to for the last three-ish years. And I think that interest rates are going to continue to be what they are for another year. I think that we're going to see less and less transactions. We are already seeing so few right now, like things just simply are not trading right now. And I think we'll continue to see shifts in management changes, like we've seen really for the entirety of this year. Companies, and it's really ultimately it comes down in a lot of cases to expense management and people really just trying to make the right decision for their business. And a lot of owners who intended on selling their assets who can't anymore. And now they have to learn, what does this look like? I have to hold these for another, 3 to 5 years.
And that's never been a part of their business plan.
Yeah, exactly.
Before. And they get these properties, they get in, they flip them, and then they get out, and now they're having to manage and hold them.
Or merchant builders now turned, build and hold. It's just everybody, it just has to kind of shift gears and sort of roll with the punches and change their business plan entirely. So it's a lot of, we as a company are just trying to be as agile as we possibly can for our clients. Everybody needs something different right now. Everybody's kind of financial situation is different, and we're just trying to be as accommodating as we can.
Trisha, I'll give you kind of the other side of the coin of that question. Where's the silver lining? Where are those opportunities over the next 12 to 15 months? And ladies, feel free to chime in as well.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of different opportunities. I think, to Cynthia and Stephanie's point, I mean, right now we have a great opportunity to educate our people, right, on expense management, right? I mean, we really have to, they're counting down to the pennies today. Debt service isn't being covered. Clients are now having to infuse capital and cash into their properties that they didn't have to before. And so I think, the silver lining for us as an organization is that we are grooming better operators for the future, because they are having to learn these types of things, because we didn't have to teach these, types of cash equations to associates 3 years ago, right? When we were getting 20% rent growth. And you heard it here, Tony, there's not going to be 20% rent growth. Yeah, it was. Yeah. So we're having to get a little bit more strategic, a little bit more methodical on how we manage these properties. And I think the clients, for the most part, are somewhat understanding. I mean, again, they're in a different landscape, a different environment today than they were, a couple of years ago. And so they're having to get a little bit creative with expenses and, rent growth, and albeit it's very small, they're understanding for the most part. And so again, we don't have a crystal ball, but I do agree with both of these women. I think we're still a year to a year and a half out. I don't want to get too political, but I do think that, we're going to be in this for some time. Interest rates are not going anywhere. And so we're just going to have to figure out how to, continue to manage it. And I do think that there's going to be a lot of great opportunities for management changes as well. Just because we are now teaching our associates on how to think of things a little bit differently when it comes to, investments, and how the client is positioning the asset. And so I think there's opportunity there as well too. And I think there's, we're seeing it today, different opportunities for management changes because we have great operators.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I mean, it's only a 30-day contract, so we're as good as, our people and performance, and our clients can make a change at any point in time. So it's really how we're managing the business effectively.
Yeah, it just seems like a lot of opportunity. It continues to, I think, probably make us grittier as well.
Yes,
absolutely.
It's definitely a tough market out there. So. No, I appreciate that. So I have some fun. We have a segment that we're going to be doing called This or That. And so I'm going to give you a couple different options. And we'd love to get your perspective on this stuff. So the heavy stuff is behind us. You guys have done an incredible job. Great. So thanks for hanging out today. But yeah, so let's have some fun. You guys ready?
Yeah,
okay.
Ready. Let's go.
This or that. Ready? First one. Mom jeans or skinny jeans?
Skinny jeans.
Skinny. Yeah.
Skinny.
Skinny.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're millennials. We're bound to the skinny jeans.
I tried the mom jeans.
Yes.
They don't look
We are all currently wearing skinny jeans.
It's true. That's true. I should have just looked at your jeans.
I think they're all the same brand too.
We do all love Mother. We do all love the Mother brand,
We
though,
do.
if that counts
Yes.
for anything.
Yes.
So.
You guys are mothers. Reality shows or documentaries?
Oh, reality. Yeah.
That's a toss up for me.
I do love
I could do
a
either
good
one. It depends on my
documentary,
mood.
but yeah,
It depends on my mood.
reality. I think
That's good.
If
Yeah,
I had
fair.
to pick one, I would probably pick reality.
Yeah.
Okay, this is
you could admit, Stephanie. It's fine.
Either one, if I
This is
could
a-
stay awake.
This is a hard-hitting one. Real tan or fake tans?
Oh, fake.
Okay.
Do you know how much money I am investing in my skin right now from all the fake tanning?
Fake tan. My skin
Fake
does not
tan,
tan
okay.
in
Yeah.
reality.
Okay. All right. Unanimous. Vacations or staycations?
Oh,
Vacations.
for sure.
I want to go anywhere.
Yep.
It depends on who I'm going with.
Depends on who the vacation's with, right? And who the staycation's with as well.
Right. I would say vacation.
Zombies or vampires?
Vampires.
Vampires.
Red wine or white?
Red.
Yeah.
Guac
It
or
depends
salsa?
on the season.
Oh,
Oh,
yes,
okay.
it does.
White during summer, red
Yeah.
during winter.
Fair enough. Guacamole or salsa?
Guacamole.
Both.
Both. Yes,
Mix some. Get some queso in
yes
there, too.
please. Well, another food one. Pizza or pasta?
Pizza.
Pasta.
Pasta.
Okay. And last one. Start work early or work late?
Oh, work late. I'm
Work
a night
late.
owl.
I think.
You're up at like 4 a.m.
Start work early. I wake up so early to go to the gym. I could start work early.
You
It's
could do both,
easier.
right?
Stephanie definitely is an early
Yes,
starter.
she
That's
is.
for sure.
An early job.
I'm like,
Trisha and I are more on the later end.
Well, guys,
She's
already been
have
up for
some
4 hours.
Celsius or coffee first.
I thought on that one you would probably say both at this current stage in the
Yeah.
No, we're
economy.
we're balancing here.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Remember?
Sorry. Yes.
We're making our own boundaries.
How could I forget? Well, guys, I just want to thank you for your time today. Was awesome. I think we really, I know for me and hopefully all those listening really got some insights into who you are as a person, who you are as a leader, and hopefully got some insights into who RPM is and what their culture is. Those who work for us obviously understand that, but I think there's going to be a lot of people listening that aren't working for RPM and maybe one day will, and we'll be listening to this for different feedback. So thanks for your time. It wasn't as scary as we maybe thought it was going to be, right,
It's
guys?
just the lights,
No.
really.
Yeah,
Just all the lights and the
it's the whole
microphones.
production thing that's a little intimidating.
No, we're just chatting with Tony. Just us girls.
Just us girls, right? So anyway, thanks guys so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Tony.
Thanks for joining the RPM Pod. Make sure to listen where you get your podcasts, anywhere and everywhere. Again, thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to Mic'd Up with RPM. Be sure to follow and subscribe to be notified of our future episodes.